Hey guys, Rick Stone here from Stoney Acres Gardening. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about how I plant my tomatoes. So everybody has their own little technique for how they get their tomatoes planted. I'm not saying that anybody's is wrong or right. This is just how I do mine and how I've done it for the last 25 plus years that we've been growing tomatoes. So I thought I would run through and talk to you about the steps that I use for planting my tomatoes. So it's mid-May right now. Temperatures are finally starting to warm up, and so it is time for us to get them in. I'm hoping to get all of our tomatoes planted this weekend. We'll see if that actually happens because we're still a little shaky on that weather. So while we're talking about temperatures, you want to try and wait until your nighttime temperatures are above roughly 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Tomatoes just don't love temperatures below 50 degrees. Now, will it kill them? No, it won't. Temperatures in the 40s are not going to kill your plants. They won't, have any danger of being killed until we get down to freezing temperatures. But tomatoes just don't love those cooler temperatures. And planting before those nighttime temperatures are above 50 degrees is actually going to set back the production of your plants a little bit. So it pays to wait as long as you can until those temperatures are above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's the first thing I do. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is dig a nice big hole. So we want a hole that is at least twice the size of the root ball of your plant and as deep as you can possibly get it. So here in our garden we have about a 6 to 8 inch layer of good topsoil that is then immediately followed by a nice layer of clay. And we're talking clay that you could make pots out of. It's that tough. So we try to get those holes as deep as we can down to that clay layer and about twice to 3 times the size of the actual root ball. That's going to give you some nice loose dirt around that plant for those roots to kind of get established and get going in. So nice deep hole is what you're going to do next. Then we want to plant our tomatoes deep. Let me talk to you about why. So we've got a pretty long stem here on this transplant. It's begging to get out of this little pot. It's time for it to get out. And if we plant this deep, like about to this level right here, we're actually going to have root growth along this stem. And so where the stem comes in contact with the soil, we'll actually start to see root growth in there, and that will expand that root ball. So we want to go as deep as we possibly can. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pick off these lower leaves and just get rid of those, and we actually want to plant right up to about this level. So that's as deep as we would want to try and get that. Now, if you live in an area that has really shallow topsoil, or maybe you're planting in raised beds and you don't have that much depth in your beds, then you can actually plant them sideways as well. So if you look in this video, I've laid it on its side, and you can then bend that top up and it will recover from that. As long as you don't like snap that stem, it will be fine. And then you can just fill in that hole, and the same thing will happen. You'll get roots that start growing along this stem, and that's what we want, is as much roots as we can. So nice deep hole or a sideways hole that you can get planted in there. Now, what do I put in the hole? A lot of people will recommend like throwing a handful of fertilizer in the hole or something like that, and I'm not a big fan of that, and here's why. I'm confident that my soil has a good balance of nutrients. I've had it tested. We amend every year with compost, and so I'm confident that my soil has plenty of nutrients. So I'm not going to just throw fertilizer at a plant if it doesn't really need it. Now, if you've had a soil test done and it indicates that you need to put fertilizer in, then go for it. You can put some fertilizer in the hole. But I just trust the fact that my soil is in good shape, and I will just go ahead and continue to amend, and everything will be fine. So I try to avoid those fertilizers whenever possible. But I will go ahead and put a handful of compost in the bottom of that hole. I want to have something that's a little bit slow release, that has some nutrients, that's going to kind of rot down and release those nutrients throughout the summer. And so I'll throw a handful of compost in and mix that into the bottom of that hole before I put the tomato in. Now, I do have one other quirky little thing that I put in the holes of my tomato plants, and that is a banana peel. So there is zero scientific proof that putting a banana peel in the hole of your tomatoes is going to do anything for you. But 25 plus years ago, when I first started gardening, my father-in-law had a really big influence on the things that I did. And he told me that you should always put a banana peel in the hole because it makes your bananas sweeter. Again, zero scientific backing for that, but it's just something that I've always done. Part of it is probably superstition because I've always done it and my tomatoes have always worked out really well. The other thing is kind of to honor my father-in-law's memory a little bit. He passed about 6 years ago, and so I continue to do that. So I'll throw a banana peel in there, and there is some potassium and things like that in the banana peel that will kind of eventually get released in. So, you know, there could be a little science behind it, but honestly, it's an old wives' tale that I just do because my father-in-law did it. Then we're going to go ahead and fill that hole in. We're going to go ahead and cover up as deep as we can get it so that we get plenty of root growth along that stem. Then I kind of put just a little bit of a depression. I like to have a little bit of a bowl at the base of that tomato. We water with a drip system, and I like to have that area so that the water doesn't run away from the plant and instead runs to it. And then the last thing that we are going to do with our tomatoes is we're going to put down a layer of mulch. So you can use whatever type of mulch that you have. I'm a big fan of using what I've got, and so I have a lawn and we mow those lawns, and so I will use my grass clippings as a mulch. I do go ahead and let it dry out for 2 or 3 days first so that it's not all kind of wet and matted down, but I will use some grass clippings. When I don't have grass clippings, I will sometimes use some shredded leaves, or if I have homemade compost, I will also use homemade compost as a mulch as well. Now, of course, you could use some straw or some hay, something like that also. But again, I'm a fan of using what you've got, and I've got grass clippings. So we'll go ahead and mulch that. Mulching is going to help to keep the soil cool when it gets hotter in the summertime, and it's also going to help to keep that moisture in the soil. Tomatoes like a nice even moisture, so that mulch is going to help to hold that moisture in and keep things moist, help your tomatoes to grow. So that is how I plant my tomatoes. And like I say, there's lots of people that have different methods. I like that one. It's worked for us for 25 plus years, and it's a good organic method for getting your tomatoes planted. Let me know how you plant your tomatoes and if you do anything different down in the comments below. And before we go, make sure you get subscribed to my channel and click the notification bell so you get noticed every time I release new videos. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to learn more about growing tomatoes, I actually have a full-length tomato growing course. It's about 90 minutes long, goes through the whole process of how I grow my tomatoes organically. Normally that course is $29. Right now we're offering a special for those of you that have watched this video all the way to the end. You can get $10 off if you click on the link down in the description of this video, and it's only $19 for you. So go ahead, click on that link, and you can go check out our tomato growing course. All right, that, my friends, is all I have for you for this week. Everybody have a fantastic week. Happy gardening. Hey guys, thanks again for watching, and make sure you get subscribed to my channel. Here's a couple of videos that YouTube thinks you're really going to enjoy. And I also wanted to have you go check out the Gardening Academy, which is our monthly membership service where we grow great gardeners. There's a link in the description of this video you can click on to learn more, but I'd love to have you join us over there. Happy gardening.